just out of bounds, probably brings, what was 1st and 10 to 2nd and 7. And the announcers are like, this right here is, what the Ravens are doing all week. And I'm thinking, what is that? Getting absolutely collapsed in the pocket. Lamar Jackson scrambling, not because he sees an opening, but because there's just nothing else to do. And that highlight early on to me, I was like, yep, there it is. This is not a game. It was just waiting until the Chiefs did something like crazy. Like, I'm sorry, with the touchdown where Patrick Mahomes is getting chased back out of the pocket, then off his back leg launches like a 40-yard touchdown. That's something straight out of Madden football. Like, that is not something you should see in a professional game.
Ideally, no, but I mean, that's kind of what we were treated to, which for better, for worse.
For worse.
I don't know if it's I think actually for worse. There's no for better on that. Lamar straight up looked like shit last night. He was
and I think and again, I think this cements Kansas City as being the bona fide number one in the in the conference. I mean, you had the one and the two, the reigning MVP and the former MVP. I mean, and clearly we know which one is better. Yes, Lamar had a great season last year, but what happened to them in the playoffs? They got snubbed by the Titans. Now they can't seem to get their offense going against bottom 15 Kansas City defense. I mean, I don't know.
Well, also as I've thought about, like,
they only scored 13 points last night, James. They only scored 13.
I know.
Insane.
But look at the full stat rundown. I mean, this is exactly where everyone gets the whole Lamar Jackson not bad for a running back. Like, this is where it stems from. Not 15 for 28 for 97 yards and a touchdown. That was last year's MVP.
Yep.
What?
And then he had 83 yards on the ground. He was their leading rusher. Next was Gus Edwards with 39 yards.
The more concerning factor, it's not like this was against the, a superior team like the Bills defense. No, these are stats you put up against a Kansas City team that has a reputation of outgunning you, that they're going to win these games 50-42, not 34-20, choking out. You're right. The league MVP, the reigning superior quarterback when it comes to being able to run. And that stat line is astounding.
Right. And I think that, it just goes to show you, like James said, like 97 yards to the air for Lamar Jackson. I mean, he should have put up better numbers, but I mean, just look at who he was throwing the ball to. J.K. Dobbins was his leading receiver with 38 yards, 4 receptions. Like, what is that? What is that?
Yeah.
I mean, what happened to Mark Andrews?
My apologies to anyone I told to play Dobbins this week. At Megan, who barely broke 100. Sorry, baby.
I know. I mean, Mark Ingram wasn't even a factor in this game. He had 7 rushes, 30 yards, and then had nothing through the air. I mean, Kansas City limited every single option for Lamar Jackson besides Lamar Jackson on the ground. And even then, I mean, still didn't get a touchdown. He threw 1 touchdown through the air, which isn't great. And, he didn't even break 100 passing. Like, that's the kind of stuff I would have expected from Cam Newton if Cam Newton wasn't playing like he is now.
Right.
No,
something else that really stuck out to me is, so you look at Patrick Mahomes' stat line, right? 31 of 42. So not only does he complete more passes than Lamar Jackson attempts, I think the underlying stat there is that's the time of possession. I mean, I barely saw the Ravens on the field.
Yeah, agree.
And,
I mean, their only serious touchdown was, I would say that kick return. I mean, that's a big reason why that they, the score looks a lot better than it actually was. Because realistically, 34-13, that's terrible. At least they can justify, hey, we scored 20 points, even though really not. But
what's funny? I'm not even going to credit the Ravens that much on the kick return, because you watch it. What's his name? The runner is coming down on the right side. It's not that he gets out blocked. It's that he just kind of overshot that close in. Like, you can kind of see that he's gone maybe 5 or 10 yards away from where he needs to be. It was just pure luck. And then at that point, it's just a race to the finish line.
Well, that's kind of what
that big break.
That's kind of what Devin has done. That's what he did at Texas. Like, he's a return specialist. He's able to kind of find those small slots, which finally paid off for him as a return guy. I don't think you'll see success like Tyreek had or even Mecole has, but he's a solid return guy, and he's going to be a burner if you can get him the ball in an opportunity. But I still think receiving wise, Marquise Brown and Mark Andrews run that. And Mark Andrews didn't have a great showing last night. He was not who we are used to seeing.
No, a lot of dropped passes by Mark Andrews last night.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know it's bad when you look at your receiving core and your leading receiver that whole game is Dobbins. Your running back has the most receptions out of your receiving core. Not that I'm going to sit here and pretend like the Ravens have an elite receiving core. Like, say what you will about Marquise Brown, like Willie Snead's kind of a nice safety net. Barring the Patriots, your running back should not be your leading receiver. Just should not be.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you have names like Mark Andrews and Marquise Brown, you should at least be getting the ball out to them as quickly as possible. You're throwing the ball, what? How many times did he throw the ball again? Like 27?
He did, and it's funny. He targets Mark Andrews 8 times. So at what point is it? So would you say it was Lamar Jackson's fault that he had a bad game? Was the receiving core just shut down? I mean, he threw the ball. There was that one pass, and I'm trying to remember who he throws it to. Either or, pass gets batted down linebacker style. But it's not even like the linebacker had to stretch out for it. Lamar Jackson almost throws it right to the defense. No leading.
Yeah, well, you're talking about his pick.
No, this is just a generic swat down. Tries to throw it up the middle on like a slant route. And I mean, you just look at that ball and you're wondering, where are you throwing that to? I mean, the defender didn't even have to move, just kind of gently bats his hand on it. And I think there was a lot of moments like that indicative of Lamar Jackson's game. I mean, it's funny. I feel really bad making fun of like Lamar Jackson this way because it's one game. Every quarterback is going to have a game like this. Find me any quarterback in the league who, coming off an MVP year, does not have a crap game. But it's games like this where you have to show up. Like, you're playing the future of the NFL. Currently standing the Super Bowl defending champions. If you can't show up here, I don't care if you show up next week. I don't care if you show up the week after that. Or you beat teams like Washington or Jacksonville or the Browns, teams that aren't currently like playoff contenders. No,
James,
watch your mouth.
No. I will defend him because the Browns are not 2-1 against good teams there, big boy. Who have they played?
We're gonna get to that. We do need to move on.
Yeah, okay.
Fair enough.
We need to move on.
That game was just kind of a. If there was ever a way to describe week 3 in total, to start with Jacksonville and Miami and to end with this, week 3 was nonsense.
We're getting a lot of love in the chat right now. Shout out for our biggest fan, Eagles all day. But thank you for congratulating me on my hard-earned Tampa Bay victory. And I am not as optimistic in the Browns this week against the Cowboys as you are. But stay tuned for our preview episode. Let's get into the full recap, though. I think we already did Thursday night, which I don't want to talk about.
I don't really, there's not much from that game to really, go off of. The Dolphins get a needed win for them, even though they're not a good team. I don't know. I don't really have much. I mean, this is Miami's first win of more than 10 points since 2017.
That's miserable.
So that's sad.
Very sad.
Or is that just because Fitzmagic is back and strong, baby?
Never. Don't ever say that. So we're moving on. We're going to chug along to the game that we made very clear is not a trap game. The Niners steamroll the Giants via Nick Mullins having his one pop game at 343 and a touchdown, and Brandon Ayuk finally getting in the end zone, and the Giants just shitting the bed. 179 for Daniel Jones and an interception. Awful. The fact that they gave their running backs near split carries, except for Dion Lewis, who shouldn't be a factor at all. Dumb.
No. Yeah, nope. Not a good day for a Giant to be a Giants fan, or a good year.
I think there's a high potential we see a total of 3 wins out of New York this year, not counting the Bills.
Ooh. Yeah, you
out of MetLife. I think max 3 wins.
Between both teams?
Between the Jets and the Giants.
Are they both? They're both 0-3, right?
Yes.
Well, as long as the Jets are helmed by Sam Darnold, I would completely agree with that. And I'm not saying
I didn't know where you were going to go with that.
As like a Patriots fan, I'm not saying like, the Jets are terrible. But no, like Sam Darnold is he's just not the quarterback that I think a lot of people saw or thought he was going to be. And as long as the Jets try to ride that out, I don't see their fortunes getting any better.
I've said this before though. I think the thing with the Jets is Adam Gase doesn't know how to coach a football team.
We're gonna get to that one. Let's wait until we actually get into the Jets.
Yeah.
I don't really have any other notes for this game besides the Giants are a train wreck. With or without Saquon, they're a train wreck.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys are ready. I'm ready to move on.
Yeah, I mean that game is pretty much, you can pretty much surmise that into like one above average team just beat on a really bad team. And so you kind of have to look at those stats and go, well, are those stats really relevant? I mean, the Giants aren't even like fielding a real football team. So you're right. I have no thoughts beyond cool. Good win for San Francisco. Move on.
You did it. You played it.
Like pat on the back, ribbon for showing up. Good job. Quarterback, the quarterback, Mullins played good enough to get them the win. That's really all they were asking from him. He goes and does that.
Boom. Not wrong.
Not wrong.
You don't really have any other storyline. I mean, Kittle's down. Jordan Reed, who they signed on the offseason, had a good 2 weeks. Down.
Bosa's down.
Bosa down. Solomon Thomas down.
Yeah.
It's bad.
We can keep going too. Like that's the sad part is we can keep going.
You can just keep it running, but we're not.
Debo,
speaking of injuries, though, there's my transition point. Bengals Eagles tied. This game was a fucking
what happened there?
Shit show.
It's hard to say. Carson Wentz is a shell of what he was at one point.
Yep.
I mean, even with the 225, the 2 interceptions were awful. He is not performing up to standard. And I got thoughts on like what the Bengals are doing, but I want to hear what you guys are thinking about the Eagles right now.
Okay, here are the thoughts on the Eagles, because this was the first thing that popped in my head. Like, yeah, Carson Wentz played just awful, but they also asked a lot of him. 47 times he has to throw that ball. That's a lot to put on any quarterback. And I think that speaks more to lack of like a game plan, right? I mean, 47 times to throw the ball, that's like college level demand right there. From a quarterback, honestly, in Carson Wentz, that I don't fully trust him, and I don't see why the coaching staff looked at that and thought, yeah, let's just run a bunch of pass plays. Carson Wentz will bring us to the promised land. I mean, I'm looking at it. I'm like, besides like Zach Ertz, Deshaun Jackson, who's pretty much a ghost of his former self. What about that receiving core to the Eagles offense? Thought, there it is, 47 pass plays we're going to run, and we're going to be golden.
I really don't know.
I don't know. I mean, you have a
sorry,
good,
Zach.
No, you're good. I was going to say you have a good tight end tandem in Ertz and Goddard, but then Goddard goes down. Zach Ertz is definitely regressing. I mean, I've seen it in the past 2 years. I feel like Zach Ertz is that reception monster. Like he's going to get you your fantasy points in receptions, and he's gone down in receptions. I mean, he had 7 this game, 7 for 70, which is, it's pretty good for a tight end. Zach Ertz level, maybe not, but I don't know. I kind of talked about this during the summer, like when we were talking about our our season outlook. I just knew Carson Wentz was either going to get injured or he was just going to play terrible. Like he's not the same person. He's sustained serious injuries the past 3 years.
Yeah,
and I just know.
How do you build around that? Put my man out there. Put Jalen.
Yeah,
is it me, or is Carson Wentz turning into? And I mean, James, you had to know that I was going to somehow tie this in. Is Carson Wentz turning into like the Matt Stafford of quarterbacks? Phenomenal fantasy numbers, but zero that doesn't translate well to like playing, right? And I'm not saying this to like crap on Matt Stafford, but I'm saying like at what point is he just a fantasy quarterback?
I give him
you're going to get your what? I think he put up like 24, 26 some odd fantasy points this week. Solid for a quarterback.
Yeah.
Not bad for running back.
But I don't think he's the guy that you want on the field right now. And I know it's like way, way too early to put Jalen Hurts in, but I mean, I'm not opposed to maybe hearing some stories coming out. Maybe he's getting more reps in practice coming into this week. I wouldn't be shocked if a transition comes this season.
Something the Eagles just did that I'm very pumped about is I am big into him as a player. Hakeem Butler was just signed, who was released by the Cardinals earlier this year, and they listed him as a tight end. He has the body, so it looks like for the time being, they're going to swap out Dallas Goedert and run Hakeem Butler as a quicker tight end. It's going to be interesting. And I don't know how it's going to work.
I don't think it matters to them at this point. They really just need anything. Their wide receiver core has been banged up for 3 years. I mean, like Alshon Jeffrey, since coming from the Bears, has not had a healthy season. I don't think.
No, I can't think of one.
No.
And that's your guy. Like Alshon Jeffrey was there to be your guy, and he is nowhere to be found.
Let's flip to the Bengals, though. Let's talk about this because I have some very strong thoughts about what's going on in Cincinnati.
Let's hear him.
Let's hear him. Let's unleash it off the bat.
Yeah, dude. Tell me your thoughts on Joe Burrow, future of the NFL.
So, I mean,
good quarterback, bad team
in college. Yeah. Wait. I talked about it last week.
Right there in the whole sentence.
No, I mean, I talked about it last week where I said they needed to protect him, right? Joe, I know you don't listen to this, but you should. You aren't in fucking college. You aren't playing Mississippi Community College, which is borderline in elementary school. You are in the NFL. Your cute little scrambling is not going to work. You got laid out, all right? You can't do that against Calais Campbell twice a year. You can't do that against Myles Garrett twice a year. They are going to make you pay. You have to stay in the pocket. If you're going to scramble, get rid of it. Don't try to dance around because the NFL is different. The NFL is going to make you pay, and that's going to shorten your career. You have a wealth of potential, but you're going to screw yourself. Send.
Yeah, I mean, that speaks volumes to my thoughts on like running quarterbacks, but I totally agree. And you always kind of watch that, especially with a quarterback coming off his first season of, or his last season in college. And then if he ends up starting early in NFL, you see a lot of that. You see a lot where he thinks that he's just as athletic as some of those, defensive players in the league. And it's just not like that. You're like grown men like Myles Garrett will just absolutely bulldoze him if he tries to, skirt or skate around that. Mm-hmm. That being said, I thought Joe had a decently solid game. I've seen a lot of quarterbacks come into his position on better teams and not do as well.
Mm-hmm.
I like Joe Burrow.
You're not wrong.
Do I absolutely want him to stop scrambling? Yes, but I generally want a lot of quarterbacks to stop scrambling.
If I'm a Cincinnati fan, I hate that every time he steps out. Every time he goes out wide, my heart's dropping. It's into my stomach.
It's kind of what I imagine like the Aaron Rodgers effect is. Like anytime Aaron Rodgers gets hit, don't tell me that Green Bay Packers fans don't hold their breath for a second thinking, did he just break his collarbone? It's that kind of like hold your breath for a moment.
You're not wrong.
But all in all, his receiving core showed up. Tyler Boyd, great game for him. I think he caught 10 of his 13 targets, 125 yards, good game. AJ Green's just a safety blanket. So he's kind of, no longer is AJ Green the man that he was years ago, but he's supposed to be there, as Joe's backup. Giovanni Bernard played pretty solid. All in all,
I thought you were just going to end it with Giovanni Bernard played.
Giovanni Bernard put on the cleats, put on the helmet. Good job.
He was on the sideline.
Great play.
It's great.
Yeah. Just high-fiving and clapping. The fact that it ends in a tie, though, is always entertaining because that's got to be one of the rarest events. The fact that you get to overtime and both teams can't get it done speaks volumes.
Not only that, both teams had a red zone trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is as in a one.
No. Meaning like in overtime, both of them had a red zone trip. And didn't score.
I don't know what the fuck I was talking about there.
I don't know either, James.
I didn't really like. I saw like clips and through of it. I didn't get to watch the game because of market, but I was like, all right, I guess they were only there once. I'm gonna believe Zach.
I think what's really funny is
they had
all
one
going
red zone
like
trip and scored 23 points. Fuck it.
We all have like decently okay thoughts on this game, and then we have to look at the fact that both teams are 0-2-1. We're like, yeah, Bengals played fine. I'm like, are you kidding me? They don't have a single win, and we're all like, yeah, fair game. Lots of fun. Football was thrown.
We was there.
Well, but like that's an expected thing for the Bengals, though. Like looking at the Eagles, so like 0-2-1 for the Bengals, like oh shit, though, like they have a better record than the Jets.
They're at least trying.
They like at least tried. Like at least the quarterback is trying because that man has no protection. Like his offensive line is most likely the worst in the league. It's real bad.
Yeah, that's not an an overstatement either.
No, I mean the Bengals have had
nailed
the
That is
worst
not an
offensive line in
understatement.
5 years in a row. For fuck's sake, like seriously, get this man some protection.
Seriously.
All right,
And
guys.
like more so now than ever.
Ooh.
Now than ever, because now you at least you have somebody behind center who you can look at and go, yeah, trust it.
It's like, yeah,
You mean
we're
you
gonna
didn't trust
we're
Andy
gonna sign
Dalton?
you, Joe Burrow, #1 pick overall. Guess what we're not gonna do for you? Get you protection. So have fun out there, kid.
Was I the only one super
Figure it
stoked
out.
at the idea that Jerry Jones was going to pit Dak and Andy Dalton against each other? Because nothing would have made me like laugh harder than if Andy Dalton won the starting job.
Right, and then he still sucked because he's not a good quarterback.
Because he's Andy Dalton. I don't know why people forgot that it's not like Andy Dalton was in a really he was in a bad situation with the Bengals, I'm sure. But it's not like, oh, Andy Dalton's great and the Bengals suck. No, like collectively, that was just not an all there put together football team.
No, I mean
change of venues not going to all of a sudden unlock this magical potential Andy Dalton was sitting on.
You
love it.
You had 5 years where they made a playoff, where they made the playoffs as either a 2 or like a 4 seed or whatever. Please tell me how many games they won collectively in 5 years in the playoffs. Please.
0.
Big fat 0. So after 5 years of making the playoffs and not winning a single fucking game, including divisional and or wild card, you gotta lump the quarterback in. I mean, and you already said this, but
no matter how much you can say that it was the no matter how much you want to sit there and be like, no, the coach didn't plan right. That was bad, No. Okay, Andy Dalton.
I have my thoughts on Marvin Lewis too, but
dude, we're not gonna get. We have so many more
all
games.
In all,
we have more teams to go. I'm just saying.
I think the Bengals sitting at 0-2-1. That's the most positive 0-2-1 team that I can look at right now and be like, no, I'm actually pretty okay with what you guys have going on. Yeah,
barring Joe Mixon, who's been a dud. Yeah.
Dude, 17 carries for less than 50 yards.
Not great.
Are you kidding me?
Let's talk about a running back that actually had a day, though. And let's talk about your boy, multiple, the Patriots and Raiders. Both teams coming in.
Okay.
I have so many thoughts on this. So many. And
Rob, I mean, you're here, man. Go off.
No,
Go off,
okay,
Queen.
so okay.
Yes, Queen.
Yeah.
Definitely. I don't want any Raiders fan to walk away from this game and think, man, we got stomped. No, the Raiders are an incredibly talented team. I mean, they handed it to the Saints last week. Definitely expected going into this game that they were going to put up a fight, and they did. I mean, Cam Newton was all but useless, and there was, Cam Newton scrambles at some point and throws the first pick to oh my God, what is his name? Abrams. And that might have been the worst interception I've ever seen a quarterback throw. Cam panic scrambles out of the pocket and tries to Patrick Mahomes, backyard football sling it. And I'm like, stop. That was
pretty terrible. That was pretty brutal.
That was brutal. I think Sony Michel had a great game, but don't for a second think that is something to expect out of him right now. I think he had a couple of really great gaps that he hit fast.
My man.
And those gaps aren't like, oh, Sony Michel had the running back vision. No, he just lucked into these halfback draws. The line just happened to move. So a lot of those runs, I think, are faux stats. I think the real hero of that game, hands down, is Rex Burkhead. Safety blanket right there. Anytime Cam was pressured, and he was effectively pressured by the Raiders on almost every possession, Rex Burkhead, the bull, just full on carried him through. A lot of hard hits that I saw him kind of shrug off or kind of lean into. But what I'm saying here is don't think that the Raiders, losing 36-20 is a thrashing. It's not. It really, that number doesn't tell the full story. That I think the Raiders played besides the penalties, I think the Raiders played a solid game.
Yeah, they did play a decent game. I think this is a really good defensive game for the Patriots. I mean, they gave up 20, obviously, which is not what you would expect from an elite defense, but they did have 3 turnovers, and one of those was a scoop and score for a touchdown. So I mean, again, that's what you expect out of this defense is they're big into being able to score points on through all 3 facets of the game, whether it's obviously offense, defense, and special teams. But I mean, defense is a huge one for them for the past 2 years. I mean, last year they scored 10 touchdowns by week 10, I think. They scored
last year was terrifying.
Fucking crazy.
Give a quick shout out to my man Hunter Renfro. Huge fan of his game. So happy to see him kind of get some going. I think he's just so much fun to watch. Maybe I just haven't gotten over his time in college. But funny enough, Hunter Renfrow should not be your leading receiver.
No.
Now I know that's kind of like that's the whole like Bill Belichick way. It's he'll pick one or two players in the opposing team and just absolutely shut them down. Like you didn't see Darren Waller for any part of that game.
2 receptions,
4
9
targets.
yards. That's it.
Yeah, 2 receptions, 4 targets. Hunter Renfrow should not be your leading receiver.
No.
The fact that he was, I think, speaks problems about the Raiders more than the Patriots. Like, yes, the Patriots took away effectively, like, Darren Waller. If Bill Belichick takes away one of your players, you should have somebody else on that team ready to go. And it wasn't Nelson Aguilar, that's for sure. And it wasn't Josh Jacobs. So
no, I mean Josh Jacobs had a solid game on the ground. I mean, he did run for 71 yards, but he wasn't involved in the passing game really all that much, which is we're accustomed to seeing. I mean, he's like I would put him and McCaffrey as the 2 best elusive backs on the field. And especially satellite too. But I don't know, why if you have Darren Waller being taken away from you, why not try and get Josh Jacobs involved in the passing game? I mean,
right.
Like you said, why do you want Hunter Renfrow to be your bona fide number 1 in a game against arguably the best cornerback in the league? Like that's just not going to work. Yeah, he caught a touchdown.
Yeah,
pass.
right. That's just not how that is.
It was just a really good play. But other than that, I mean, you didn't have much from the Raiders as far as the passing game goes.
No. And I know that James, you and I were talking about this. Derek Carr. This is kind of one of those crap or get off the pot situations as far as leading a team goes. We're kind of at this point now in Derek Carr's career where it's time. It's time. If you have anything to show as far as what you're capable of, that window's closing. You're 29 years old. I mean, are you telling me this is it? Like this is the best we're gonna get out of you? Because it's not good. And I loved Derek Carr coming into the league. When he came in early on, I was stoked for the Raiders. I thought that team was jacked. And
right up until his spine popped. Yeah. I was all in on Derek Carr.
Yeah.
And it just didn't hold.
It's just
you had him and Cooper and Crabtree, and they were a great combo. But
oh my god, that was the time you had Khalil Mack. You had a solid team all around.
You had a good team. You did.
And Derek Carr. I mean, that's the thing is like Derek Carr isn't even like I wouldn't even. There are tons of quarterbacks that I would feel so much worse having than Derek Carr. That being said, I still want more out of the guy. I mean, as every fan of an NFL team or coach wants out of their like quarterback, but it just seems like every time Derek Carr shows up and has a great game, he just regresses in the opposite direction, like the next game after. It sucks. But yeah, and then I just really want to quickly talk about Cam Newton, which is I like Cam Newton. I don't mind that he runs, only because he's kind of like that Big Ben, big framed guy. So like I don't mind that. It's not like if someone like Kyler Murray gets hockey checked and you're like, oh my god, that dude is small. No, like if someone's able to tackle Cam, it's a big boy. I want to see more throws out of Cam, and that's a lot to ask because N'Keal Harry is kind of not doing what I really wanted him to do. And Julian Edelman, for like the workout monster that he is 34 years old. But I want to see, and I guess maybe what I'm asking is more like on the coaching side, but I want to see Cam Newton kind of stay in the pocket a little more and throw. I like what I see from Cam so far. I'm actually way more excited about the Patriots than I really was going into the season. That being said, I didn't have any expectations, and I still don't about what the Patriots can pull off this year. But I have confidence in Cam right now. I just want to see a little bit more. That's all I'm asking.
All right, fair enough. I think we have to keep moving along here, so we're gonna skim past a couple of these, just kind of move as fast as we can. But if we're gonna skim over it, we gotta give credit where credit is due. Zach, you called it. They blew it again. The Bears beat the Falcons. Nick Foles is in. Mitch Trubisky's out. Here we are. It's 2020. No one's shocked. Thank God Mitch Trubisky will not be a good fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, no. And like I said last night to you, James, I'm not here to brag. I'm not here to tell you that you guys should listen to me, not call me a fucking idiot and my takes are trash. I'm not saying any of that. I'm not saying you should give me an apology publicly while we're on YouTube Live, because that's just like, That's like too far. You know what I'm saying? It's like too far.
So the Rams blew it. The Bills made a big. The Bills pushed through. Josh Allen's arguably pushing to be an MVP this year, man.
Still don't buy
What a
it.
top tier quarterback
pushing.
he has been going into this. Also, are we almost at a point now where we can maybe reevaluate where the Bills defense stands?
Yeah, because I think they have a lot of potential, and they were a top 3 defense going into this year. But what we've seen out of them is just leaking points.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to give up 32 points to LA. I mean, that's a very comparable team. But what is it? Last week against Miami, they gave up like 30 points.
I'd have to look back.
They played Miami really well up until the third. I think maybe like halfway through the third, and then Miami just decided to go off. I mean, I just think they have these.
Imagine saying that sentence last year, and then Miami decided to go off.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I mean, I just think there are bits and pieces of the game where the defense just lets up.
Yeah,
because you have points where it happens. It shouldn't happen. I mean, this is for all intents and purposes, this is the third game of the preseason, and they're 3-0. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
the defense hasn't had the standard 4 games to kind of gel together and then go from the first game and be ready for the first game. I mean, yes, they played. I mean, really, they probably got the best slate of games out of any of the AFC teams. They played the Jets and then the Dolphins, and then they had to play the Rams, who were good, but it was a good game. They should have not given up 32 points. They were up 28-3. A little Falcon-esque, but no.
No, I mean, you're right. From a defensive standpoint, especially as high as a lot of people hold them to be. No, and it's one thing 32, but you're right. A collapse of 28 points over the course of 2 quarters is concerning. But that being said, they get away with it because Josh Allen. I loved what I saw. Good reads, good checkdowns, not really panicking. The key for me, though, was he put the ball where it needed to be, which is such a simple sentence, yet surprisingly, a lot of quarterbacks struggle with it. Josh Allen put the ball right where his guys needed that ball to be. And that's why I think Josh Allen is you're right. I think he's heading towards an MVP candidate right now. I mean, just a stud.
It's going to be a fun race at the end of the year. I know Zach won't buy in, but
I still don't buy it. I don't buy it. He's having a good 3 games, and that's fine. But look at his opponents. Yes, he's getting the confidence, and I'm really happy for him because if he does well, that's great. But he played the Jets, he played the Dolphins, and then he played the Rams. Again, like I've said, the Rams defense is Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. That's it. That is it. There's no one else on that defense that can actually make plays that need to make plays.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you had
like at what point? You're right. At what point does his strength of schedule shift the way you look at him? I can agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, yes, he's like I said, he's putting up good stats. I don't know his specific stat line because apparently I just clicked an ad rather than the stat line. Hold on. Okay. So yeah, 311, 4 touchdowns. I mean, so that's a really good stat line. You have other quarterbacks that are doing that too. What's more impressive to me is Russell Wilson and how he's doing it rather than, the Bills played the Dolphins, the Jets, and then the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
The Seahawks played the Patriots, the Cowboys, and then who they played the first week.
Yes.
I don't remember.
Good
but anyways,
that was.
They played, but Russell Wilson played 2 really good defense. Well, 1 really good defense, and then another top 15 defense in the Cowboys.
Talking about the Falcons, right? Really good defense.
Okay, Falcons are different, but that's 2
But
games.
I know I agree. Russell Wilson to me is probably one of the most slept on quarterbacks in the league. Like that guy does not get the accolades that he deserves.
He doesn't.
It's so frustrating.
He doesn't even get points towards the accolades he deserves.
Right, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, does anybody who makes these decisions watch him play football?
No, I don't think so.
It's astounding. he has a cannon. For his size, he can launch that thing. And not just like Matt Stafford launch it into a random direction and just kind of hope that
Stafford again.
I don't understand. I don't want to get into it. Russell Wilson can launch it and still put the ball in a phenomenal place. I feel really, really bad for him. I think that he should have way more accolades than he currently does.
Agree. We are going to move on and talk about Seattle a little bit later. I'm going to quickly talk about the Browns because I think big game changer was not having Chase Young out there. I thought Willis did a good job up to a point defending him. The groin injury hurts him, hurts his chances. Dwayne Haskins was just kind of being last year's Dwayne Haskins and not really making competent throws. I mean, 2 touchdowns, great, but the 3 interceptions that outweigh that. They, on the other side, the Browns, Baker did a good job. No interceptions, 156, 2 touchdowns. Once again, I will say this. I'm going to reiterate it. We are a run-first team. We build
you guys have
off
a
the run.
stacked running back core.
Right.
I mean, that is phenomenal.
I know what you're saying. I mean, Baker Mayfield, 1 carry for 1 yard. It was outstanding.
I mean,
But-
honestly, it's like Lamar Jackson move over. Baker Mayfield is here. Like,
Nick Chubb was able to break 100 and get 2 touchdowns on the day, and that's just perfect, especially against a really strong front 7 on Washington. So I was pleased. I'm happy with where they're at. Still got a lot to go. Got a big old uphill battle this week in offense. So we'll see how that is going with Dallas, but we're going to chug along. And we're going to talk about the Texans and Steelers, which ended up being a decent game. And poor Deshaun Watson is over. That's life. That's where we're at.
He again, your article earlier in the year, Deshaun
Fuck
Watson
Texans fans.
Yeah, first
Fuck
of all, fuck Texans fans for coming at you for literally just having an opinion.
I've never been more upset at anything than I am at Texans fans because of that.
That was crazy shit. I feel like we need to like let people in on this, so maybe we should make a clip after. I don't know if we ever talked about that, but yeah,
I think we've brushed over it a couple times.
Yeah, but like we haven't really got into detail, and I feel like we should we should have like an Instagram like post about it. But yeah,
just could fuck this guy, he's stupid.
But like,
call me names.
But what, like, the Texans are 0-3, and honestly, rightfully so. Like, they have not played as a team. The only person on that team that has done anything is Deshaun Watson. David Johnson, like 23 yards on the ground through 13 carries. That's terrible.
What did I say last week? He is the smelly girl at a club. He's bad.
Also,
I mean, care. He's still gonna run over 100 on your ass week 10.
He's not, dude. The tomato bag.
Here's the thing. Anybody who thought David Johnson coming in here was going to fix anything does not deserve to watch this.
And you traded away the best wide receiver in the league.
But that's hold up. This isn't one of those like classic Texans. It's Bill O'Brien just like is not somebody who should be making decisions. And that screwed the Texans so much. To give away a top 5 receiver in the league for a high 5, David Johnson, and maybe a collection of stickers blows my mind. Because Deshaun Watson, probably one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league, and they're practically setting him up to fail. That receiving
practically.
Randall Cobb was your leading receiver this week. Randall Cobb.
He's named after a fucking salad.
Seriously. Also, I don't know why they thought the acquisition of Brandon Cooks was going to do anything. If Brandon Cooks is showing you anything, it's that whatever team he's on can never get it done.
No. Well, I would say that the first with the Saints and the Patriots, he played fine. He had a good season with the Patriots, but when he moved on and went to the Rams, then that's where everything went downhill.
He did have a good Super Bowl with the Patriots.
He did, and then he died. He was dead.
I think the problem with him going to the Rams is you had way too many cooks in the kitchen on that offense. I mean, you just did. It was very hard for one player to shine. But no,
I really thought you were going for the pun there.
I see what you did there. I didn't even think about that. No, as long as Bill O'Brien is allowed to make decisions, and as long as the offense is for some reason trying to force David Johnson, who averaged a gentleman's 1.8 yard per carry, which is atrocious for somebody that you gave away your top 5 receiver for. I feel so bad because again, Deshaun Watson is such a good quarterback. He was great in college. He brought it right over here. There definitely didn't really feel like there was a learning curve with him, and you're just squandering that behind Randall Cobb, Brandon Cooks, and Kenny Stills.
Oh, don't forget Will Fuller.
Yeah, don't forget Will Fuller.
Can't forget Will Fuller. But again, this is why there are people who make more money than us who get to make those decisions. I mean, I never would have thought to have added David Johnson to a team. I didn't think that was a good idea. Somebody else did, and that's why they get paid.
Yeah, they get paid to run an 0-3 team that has
Oh my God.
literally nothing to
And
show
then to
for it.
have like the audacity to pretend like you knew what you were doing, like this was a smart decision for your franchise going forward because you watched David Johnson in 2015 and thought, man, I want that. Think he's still good 5 years later and a couple injuries? Absolutely. Who do I not need? What's his name? He's one of the league leaders in the NFL. Catches everything. That's it. I don't want him. I want the other guy. Like you.
That's gonna be a clip.
That's gonna be. Oh, there's a couple good like fire clips. This might not be the most quotable episode so far, but there's some fire coming out of these. Whew. Rob, I'm gonna use you for social media. All right,
Dude.
Let's chug along. Steelers end up winning that game. The Titans ended up winning one. This was off a field goal, right? I think, wasn't it? Gostkowski finished.
What is
game?
this? The
Titans Vikings.
Yeah.
Man, Derrick Henry still on a streak, still proving me wrong that he is not going to get 300 carries this year. Fuck me. Ryan
that's
Tannehill, surprisingly awesome. I think I have to eat words about Ryan Tannehill too, man.
Yeah, I mean,
hold on. No. They played the Vikings, so let's reel that in a little bit.
I know the Vikings, but you still look at it and realize what he's put up in the past 3 weeks so far, even in his time with the Titans.
I totally agree with you. Like, and it's funny because I'm pretty sure earlier I made that joke about it doesn't matter where Andy Dalton went. It mattered where Ryan Tannehill went because you're right. It was almost a light switch him coming to the Titans. I mean, he's played so well. That being said, it was against a Vikings team that probably shouldn't write home to their like mothers this season that like, hey, come watch my games now. Like, because
maybe I don't know. Maybe say we're blacked out.
If you're Justin Jefferson, I'd be writing my parents, be like, you come to every game.
You come to every game ever.
I have been waiting for him to pop off, and this was it. I posted about it earlier, but averaging 25 yards a catch, getting 175 on 7 and a touchdown.
That's fierce.
Dalvin Cook on like running the ball too, 181, averaging 8.2 and a touchdown off 22. Let's go. And don't forget about rushing quarterback Kirk Cousins, two carries for 14 yards. No big deal.
No, but if you
7 yards
want to believe the stat line, he averaged 7 yards. I mean, if you really want to make the numbers work for your argument, you can just say that he averaged 7 yards a carry.
Fire.
Like
rushing quarterback Kirk
What
Cousins.
A stud. I can't wait for his commercials. You know, the ones that Baker Mayfield has where like he owns the stadium and it's like his house. I cannot wait for the Kirk Cousins ones.
I can. I think I can out of there.
It is definitely going to be one of those where like Kirk's going to be trying to open the stadium and people are going to be actively like, no, Kirk, we've locked it for a reason, buddy. Like, we're not letting you in.
Yeah, no, Kirk, you're not allowed. It's that clip of Jamal Adams trying to punch in at Jets camp, but they just traded Kirk.
They're like, no. But no, the Titans are quietly 3-0. Which I don't think is something that you should, ignore. I mean,
no,
that's a good start to the season. The Titans are playing, decent ball. Derrick Henry continues to be an absolute stud. Am I worried that like the DeMarco Murray effect is going to come in where they're just going to rely on him so much that it's going to become very one-dimensional later on? Sure. But as it stands right now, it counts for a W. I thought they played really well. I had no expectations really going into that, like, oh, like one of these teams should really dominate. Like if we were to look at it this week and it was 31-30 Vikings, I'd be like, cool. Totally a reasonable game.
At what point, because I feel like this isn't a thing, do we start looking at the Titans as a playoff team again? Because I feel like they made it far last year, but no one's really talking about them, even though, I mean, it's week 4. But like no one's hyping up the Titans to be a team that's going to make a solid push again.
Because I just don't think Titans are a closing team. I don't think they're a team that can get there and then have that go for the throat kind of player. I mean, Derrick Henry can be, but it is hard to rely on a running back to lead you exclusively. I mean, look back to the time when, like, okay, so the 2001 Rams, they had Marshall Faulk. Yeah, but they had Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt. Like, you need more than one player to kind of step up. And looking at this roster, I really see Derrick Henry as the only thing, like the only reliable source.
Can I just mention, James, I want to put this out there for the 3-0 teams that actually have worked for their wins. Titans won 16-14 against the Broncos. Then they won by 1 point against the Jaguars, and then they won by 1 point again. No, sorry, they won by a field goal against the Jaguars. Then they won by 1 point against the Vikings.
Yeah.
Can you please tell me the overall record for the Broncos, the Jaguars, and the Vikings, please?
I'm gonna say that actually might be 0-9.
It's actually 1-8. You were really close.
Damn it.
Yeah, they've played teams that have only
duh,
won one game combined, and it was the Jaguars.
I'm still not ready to sell out on the Titans yet.
I'm not ready to buy in on the Titans. I love Derrick Henry, and I think Jonnu Smith is going to be huge for Ryan Tannehill to have as a safety blanket. However, if you stop Derrick Henry and you try and force the ball to Jonnu Smith way too much, then it's going to be really easy for them, because if you have Ryan Tannehill throwing the ball more than 30 times, I would give him a 60% chance of being out in the wild card round.
Fair. That's kind of where they thrive, if we're going to be real honest, actually.
Yeah, I mean, they
wild card rounds their bread and butter.
Wild card last season.
Well, with AJ Brown kind of banged up too, we'll see how that ends up actually playing out. But
right, they should have a good unit, but they're finding ways to almost lose games, which is a recipe for disaster.
Speaking of finding a way to lose a game, the Panthers upset the Chargers. I guess upset's a relative term. But Justin Herbert went down injured at 1 point, still put up 330 with 1-1. Teddy Bridgewater, who I know, Rob, is one of your guys, 235-1. Solid game all around from the fucking Panthers, man. You can't hate.
Yeah,
they showed up and they won. They battled and they won.
Which is just so nice. Like, not even the fact that it was like against Chargers. It was just nice to see Carolina get a win. But you're right. I like Teddy Bridgewater a lot, and I thought he played a really good game. You know, you kind of look at that stat line: 22 of 28, 235 yards. So what they asked of him, he pretty much accomplished against the team that the Chargers are not a team you should sleep on. That 1-2 does not really tell you the full story. The Chargers are a good football team. I mean, when doctors aren't stabbing their quarterbacks in the lungs, they're a very, capable football team.
That's the big one. I'm sure lungs.
But I thought, okay, Robbie Anderson is going off this year, and I'm all about it. I think Robbie Anderson is a stud.
Let me just mention the NFC East, and this is my perpetual thing. Like, this is my yearly thing. The NFC East is the worst division in football. Again, they're going to be for a long time. James, care to ask me who the division leader is right now?
Hey, Zach.
Yeah.
Who's the division leader in the NFC East?
Why, James? It's the Washington football team.
Wow. Actually, all right. So now that we're on an ADHD tangent, Hirsch sent me something earlier and talked about the NFC East. And I don't know where it is. So keep talking and I'm going to figure this out.
Anyways, but yeah, that was just my side tangent. I was looking through all the standings because I had to figure out what the overall combined record was for the three teams the Titans have played. Yeah, no, Washington is currently in first because they have a divisional win. And that was against the Eagles because the Eagles are bad.
That's a bad football team.
Here's my question. I know at the end of the year, a team physically wins the division, but like
supposedly one team from every division gets it. Supposedly,
right, like, is there a chance we see another division winner 7-9 this year? Because
oh my god, didn't that happen to what that happened to the Panthers
last year?
Last year?
Oh no, never mind.
No.
No, you know what?
That was
I don't think for a second that it's going to be like this. I think the Dallas Cowboys are too talented to not at least take the NFC East. There's no reason that the Cowboys should not take the NFC East. Right. I'm not even that like big on the Cowboys, but there's no reason that they should not be sitting at the end of the year 9-7, 10-6, whatever it's gotta be. I think the Dallas Cowboys figure out whatever is going on there. So I mean, realistically, they're the only team that has good talent on paper. The Eagles are technically second, but not for supposedly the Giants are a football team. Supposedly. Yeah, without Saquon, I barely give him traction in I'm as close as I can be right now to saying Saquon Barkley is kind of edging towards that bust territory. Wow.
All right, really? Hold on. I want to talk about the Cowboys more, so I'm going to say this real quick. Jets get steamered by the Colts. Adam Gase, your ass is on the hot seat. He won't have a job by Monday. We'll talk about it in the next episode. I really hope he doesn't. But 36-7. James, then again, does the Jets ownership care about their team? We've talked about this many times. Nope. Hell no. So, who knows? Maybe he'll get a promotion.
That'd be hilarious. Well, I mean, I would agree to that because you're starting back as Frank Gore. You're leaving Sam Darnold to continue to. I swear, someone told him at at one of their many meetings was, "Listen, you want more interceptions than you want touchdowns. That's the stat line you're going for." And Sam was like, "Adam." Adam's like, "Yep, do it. That'd be great." And Sam Darnold continues.
Papa Adam.
He continues to snap the ball and just think everyone on the field is someone that he can throw it to.
Honestly, though, plot twist: they hired Jameis Winston as an outside consultant for that meeting.
Future Hall of Famer Jameis Winston.
Given a choice right now, you start Jameis Winston over Sam Darnold. Like
yes.
if you had to make that 100%.
Bye.
Yes, I would do that. Are you kidding me? Absolutely.
Bye. I love it. Yeah. Give me more Jameis. Love Jameis.
Stonks.
Hall of Famer. Future HOF. Give him the gold jacket now.
Comes back to beat the Bucs in the championship game. Stares at Tom Brady. And he's like, "What?"
He stares at Tom Brady, just puts up a W and goes,
"We good."
I don't think that would.
We know.
I don't think I would look at that as a very threatening action. I'd just be like, "What are you doing?"
Slightly aroused.
Like, coach, what do I do with this?
So Cowboys
Seahawks. I
Seahawks.
can't get up.
This one ended up being a battle to the end. DK Metcalf almost blew the game and then was able to get separation and was in the end zone for the game winner. Dak narrowly escaped a sack. Like he span out of it. It was a great play and then did Dak things and threw an interception. Oh,
classic
boy.
Dak.
Classic Dakota.
Maybe needs to show up next week. You can't run the ball 14 times and get 34 yards. I don't care how good the Seahawks are in that front seven. You are paid like an elite running back. You are toted around the league like an elite running back. Occasionally, you got to play like an elite running back.
Occasionally.
And the fact that Dak
Every now and
Prescott
again.
averaged more yards than you is hilarious. But the Cowboys are, all in all, on paper, a good team. Amari Cooper. Michael Gallup, Ezekiel Elliott. Like, you have a solid roster right there. No reason. And they were in that game. But again, Russell Wilson is just a beast of a whole other design. That guy is like everything you want in a quarterback wrapped up in a nice package. He can throw. He can run. He can read defenses. He does it all. And DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett just continue to be monsters.
Agreed. I got to say, though, the Cowboys should be 0-3.
I would love that.
They should. They shouldn't have won. They shouldn't have won that Falcons game. I mean, just by last week, the audacity of every Falcons player to go, shit, I guess social distancing means 6 feet from the ball too, huh? Fucking idiots. They had what, a 10-point lead with like 20 seconds left and they blew it?
Yeah, but that's just like what the Falcons do in practice. They meet up, for their weekly scheduled practices, and then they do the guys give up the lead drill, and they just kind of carry it into every single week. Also, did you see how many times that Dak Prescott had to drop back and throw the ball? Did you see that? 57 times.
Oh yeah,
57. That's a ludicrous amount of times to ask your quarterback.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, you shouldn't have to do that. Now, this is the kind of game where I'm actually okay with it because of how banged up the Hawks secondary is. If you're not getting production through the ground and they were forcing it through the air and it worked for them. So yes, 57 attempts for at throwing is ridiculous, but against the secondary, like the Seahawks right now, it made sense. It made sense for this game, at least.
I lost my complete train of thought. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No, we're almost done.
We have a fellow BOTA boy, Chris, trying to join in live right now, and we just told him
driving home right now.
Like, no, just focus on driving.
Just go home.
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
What do we talk about there? Okay, so we are what?
Wiggity whack, wiggity whack.
So our next game on the block that I was gonna talk about is how the Lions managed to upset the Cardinals.
Stop.
How?
Stop.
No
game upset me more this week than the Lions.
So Rob, I know you're a vegetarian, but I know you got some beef with Matt Stafford.
I have, first of all,
I love
Good shout out there. And if there's any vegetarians, keep on keeping on. No, I have huge beef with Matt Stafford. It baffles me how he lines up under center every week. I do not think he's a quarterback that should be starting. The fact that he beats the Arizona Cardinals this week frustrated me more so because the Cardinals just kind of like gave up in that game. But I sit there and I'm like, how do you stopping Matt Stafford is not hard. You literally just got to play man coverage and that's it. He'll throw the ball to you. That's just what he's going to do. He's going to step back. He's going to launch it in the air, hope in a prayer, and hope that the ghost of Calvin Johnson will just jump in and catch the ball. And it's not like that.
The ghost of Calvin Johnson's still very much alive, by the way.
True.
Although no one has seen him.
Although no one knows where he is.
You ever seen him and his ghost in the same room? Neither have I.
There it is. There's my hot take. Calvin Johnson is still alive.
Stay tuned.
That being said, even though the Cardinals lose, really love what I'm seeing from them this year. I think Kyler Murray, the fact that Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins clicked almost immediately has to be really satisfying for Cardinals fans. Because again, DeAndre Hopkins is a monster. But you know what's funny is you watch those games. You ever watch when Kyler Murray just kind of steps back in the pocket and panics early? What's the first thing he does? Launches it to DeAndre Hopkins. Zero concern to do his other checkdowns. He just like, I'm going to get it to DeAndre Hopkins. That's don't sleep on how hard that trust is between a receiver and a quarterback. There's a lot going into that.
That's true. And I mean, any work they put in the offseason really ended up paying off because of that. They have the chemistry now.
Mm-hmm.
Which is him and Kenyon Drake don't know each other, but that's fine.
That being said, Lions win this game. Frustratingly, it's whatever. I mean, like all like jokes aside about how I feel about Matt Stafford. A win's a win. They got it. They wanted it more than the Cardinals. I'd be shocked if Patricia's even in the organization finishing out this year in any capacity. But there's no reason that you should let players like Kenny Golladay score on you or TJ Hawkinson. I mean, 7 targets, 6 catches. Dude, these are my takes. These are my takes. But yeah, I'm not a fan of Matt Stafford. Other than that, I don't mind the rest of the Lions team, but I definitely think that the Cardinals, I think this is good for them. I think this is a fluke going into the week. Probably going to reevaluate some stuff and go back at it. But I think the Cardinals are an incredibly capable team three weeks in.
Speaking of another team we thought that was going to be real capable, the Broncos have been shitting the bed without Drew Lock.
Yes, they have.
Courtland Sutton.
Broncos been shitting the bed for years.
Their bed is full of shit.
I mean, Driscoll. When Jeff Driscoll's your starting quarterback, I don't know what you're expecting going into that.
No, don't worry. We're gonna get Blake Bortles at some point.
Dude, I can't wait for Blake to bring the Broncos and finish out the year 13-3. Calling it right now.
Until then, Tom Brady looks young again. God damn it.
Yeah.
297, 3 touchdowns. Stud.
Scotty but this Miller, is because this offense like begs for a quarterback like Tom Brady to be in it. Which is funny because you look at it and you go, well, yeah, how did Mike Evans do that week? I mean, he catches 2 balls for 2 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's a fun little stat line to look at. I think Tom is doing real well in this offense. I also knew, I think we all did. I don't think any of us thought Tom was going to go to Tampa Bay and just suck. They have too many guys who can run the field. Jamie, sure.
I think most of us here at BOTA did, if we're going to be honest, except for Chris, who would cry if Tom Brady ever stubbed his toe.
Well, I mean, first of all,
Chris.
Love Tom Brady. Always going to love Tom Brady. Say what you will, world, about Tom and all that stuff. That was definitely a game where the Broncos already lost coming out the gate, and it was just a question of how fast the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were going to roll over. My big thing, though, another like average, first of all, a below average week again for Leonard Fournette, who I honestly expected to be a little bit more in the offense at this point. And yeah, Rob Gronkowski showed up 6 catches, 48 yards, but definitely he is not going to be anything, not a factor in this season. You look at him, he just looks like half the man he was.
No, and I think they talked about it. I think they're using him as more of a blocking tight end. And the Browns are doing the same thing with Austin Hooper. These are 2 top-tier tight ends that are getting used as blocking. Like, they're obviously receiving threats, but they're used primarily as blocking to build off of the rush and protect the quarterback they have.
But then the rush doesn't translate. Ronald, like, first of all, again, Leonard Fournette to me should be bigger. He should be doing more. And I don't know why he's not. I mean, 7 carries, 15 yards. And I watched a lot of his runs, and they were just garbage runs right into the teeth of the Broncos front 7, whatever you want to call it. Leonard Fournette to me has been kind of a disappointment. I had very, very high thoughts about him, about like what he brought to the team. I thought the Jaguars didn't use him effectively. I thought personality aside, he was definitely going to be more of a factor. And so far, I'm just not seeing it.
Oh, I forgot to talk about something. I totally, in my ADHD, forgot to talk about something on the Lions. Jeff Okudah sitting out and getting yelled at by Matt Patricia was hilarious. Did you see that? No?
Okay, but he is Jeff Okudah is the last person that should be getting yelled at by Matt Patricia.
No, if it's a defensive team and your players are getting wiped out there, I mean, figure it out, Matt. Way to go, champ. Enjoy unemployment. So we're past the Lions. We're past the Bucks. Let's go into Sunday night. The Packers and Saints had a fucking battle, and it was amazing. Alvin Kamara won me my league. Thank you for those 40 points. Kamara,
what a stud.
Grill God. Oof. Zach, tell me what you saw out of Aaron. That was just beautiful because it was a great performance.
Yeah, I mean, both teams had a really good offensive showing. Both Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers had comparable stats. Brees threw for 288 yards, 3 touchdowns. Rodgers had 283, 3 touchdowns. Brees threw more. He was 29 for 36. Rodgers was 21 of 32. No picks from either quarterback. I mean, both of them are playing to their capabilities. I just think it's weird that
there were no picks for. Let's talk about this. There were no picks for Drew Brees. Sorry to interrupt you, Zach.
Yeah.
Because he just kept short passing to Kamara
true.
and Cook. Yeah,
exactly. But that's what you have to do when you don't have Michael Thomas.
Yeah, you can't go the extra 5 yards to do a slant. Great.
Right. You can't go the extra 1.5 yards. Right. Exactly.
Great.
But
sorry,
there's a reason why this team is 1-2, and that's because they don't have Michael Thomas. At Chris.
Aaron Rodgers flat at Chris.
No,
Can't
but
wait for that one to come back.
Again, so Aaron Jones had another decent day on the ground, 69 yards and a touchdown. We love that. Nice number. I'm just living it up, watching Aaron Jones just eat you up, James, every game.
I mean, 69 and a touchdown is not like last week, but it's still a good performance.
The fact that he had a week like last week when you said he wasn't even going to be that much of a factor is just real funny.
Yeah, it was not
funny. Yeah.
You know who has been surprising and impressed me a ton is Allen Lazard.
Yes, Allen Lazard has been a really good contributor for this team. I mean, 6 receptions, 146 yards, and a touchdown. Mm-hmm. That's really good.
He had a great game
number 1 is not playing.
Not to be the guy who's just going to be like antagonistic, but what about him actually impresses you? Because other than this one game where he breaks 146 yards, nothing about watching him in week 1 or week 2 made me think, all right, here we go. I thought he's had an average performance against teams much worse than the Saints. So like good on him for a great game. Still think that the jury is out on my opinion on Allen Lazard.
I don't know, man. Sorry, Zach, go ahead.
You're right. No. I was just gonna say. I mean, he's definitely not a number 1 receiver. I mean, your team has Devontae Adams. Like you're not.
You're on the market for a number 1.
No, right. But I think Allen Lazard is a great complementary piece, and he not to say he's anywhere near what Randall Cobb was when he was with the Packers, but like Rodgers has always done well with that 1-2 combo. And I mean, he had Jordy and Randall. He could have Devontae and Lazard. I mean, I don't like you said, the jury's still out. What I saw from him against a decent Saints defense is that he can pull when he needs to.
Absolutely. Highly agree. I mean, and you're saying he wasn't super impressive. He still had 63 and a touchdown week 1. He was kind of week 2 with 45, but then popping off with 100 being the guy this week. And like you said, against a formidable Saints defense where Marshawn Lattimore is probably covering him. I didn't really know what was the coverage split on that, but
yeah,
I have faith in him. I thought the ability to get separation was really what kind of Oh, wait. Let's try not to use separate again when I'm talking about separation.
I think what separates him when you're separating the receiving
separation is the separation of
Yeah.
separation.
Yeah, and like watching it on separate screens is really helpful.
No, but he showed me glimpses of a great wide receiver too. And I think that's a fair statement. Like Zach said, I mean, I pulled that right out of what he said, but yes.
Would the stats be more or less impressive if Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback? Because at a certain point, like, yes, 146 yards, monster game. Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback. You know, if you're getting the ball thrown to you by, oh God, like Marcus Mariota and you're catching it for 146 yards, absolutely. But Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback. I mean, it does. To me, I've always looked at it, and I've always kind of been iffy on stats. But anytime a good quarterback makes a receiver have a great game, you're like, well, yeah, because the quarterback's amazing. And Aaron Rodgers is amazing.
He's a differentiating. But,
you know, when he has a healthy collarbone.
When his collarbone isn't snapped in half.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that is our roundup for the week. We did it. We made it. Congrats. Nice job.
A stat I want to put out there, though, for this game before you wrap it up, James, I apologize.
No. I'm muting you.
No, I don't care. A big reason why the Saints have been having so much trouble without Michael Thomas, look who their leading receiver is. Alvin Kamara, 13 receptions, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had more targets than all of his other wide receivers combined. Obviously, I'm not including tight ends for a reason, but yeah.
Oof.
It's very Marshall Falk-like.
Alvin Kamara is going to continue his stock is going to continue to increase. He's going to be a great satellite back. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited because I have him in a dynasty league mostly. But that's it for the week 3 recap. Rob, thank you for joining us. Do you want to promote anything like broccoli or spinach, maybe kale?
Yeah, I want to give a big
burgers.
shout out to cauliflower. Definitely a super underrated vegetable. No, thank you for having me.
The ear or no, we'll have to get you back on sometime. Thanks for joining us. Zach, you got any closing thoughts?
No. Watch out for that Chiefs-Patriots game next week. I think the Patriots are going to end up playing way better than the Ravens did.
I don't believe you.
I don't believe myself either, James, but that's what lying is all about. So.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. It was our pleasure to have you this week. Rob, thank you again for joining us with our BOTA friends. Wow. Our little trash cans, our little cannies. You know where to find us at BOTA Sports everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. If you're listening, you already found us. Good job. We're on YouTube. This is going to be on YouTube beyond the live, probably. I don't know.
It'll be a video.
That's beyond my control. I just do stuff.
Shout out to me for having a birthday tomorrow, and I won't even get to be on the fucking
podcast.
Wow.
Shout out Zach for existing for 24 years.
Right there.
You know, 24 years on this planet, not a single one of them productive.
Oh my God. Well, anyways, James, thank you again. James, Zach, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Anytime.
Had
BOTA
a
Sports.
lot of fun.
BOTA Sports.
I'm just going to end by just repeating the phrase, BOTA Sports.
BOTA Sports. Nope, we always end it the same way.
Yep.
Don't do it, Zach.
A weirdly
Don't do
awkward
it,
silent.
Zach.
Not doing it.
Don't do it. Don't do it, Zach.
Stay soggy.
Stay beautiful.
Stay soggy.
Beautiful. I got you.
God, fuck you. It's still soggy, bitch. That's right.
All right. What